Hello, my name is Elena Astilleros. I'm an enterprise coach working for Ticketmaster Live Nation, and I've worked in the past with Toyota, Hispanic Scholarship Fund, and Beachbody to roll out, and Sony as well, to roll out SCRUM, Agile, and teach the processes. So I have extensive experience, and I'm here to teach you guys.
Awesome.
Does that work?
Yes, very excited.
Okay, perfect. So what we're gonna do is I want our first experience to be your product owners, and we're teaching this as you learning everything you can about product. I want you to come up with your first user story, and it's about this product here. So what do you want? And this is a user story. So are you a business owner? Are you a leader? Are you a product owner? What do you want to define yourself as? You want, and then what is it that you want from this next few hours here? Mm-hmm. And then sew that, and what's the purpose of it? I'm giving you pens and Sharpies.
Cool.
From what perspective would you like me to write this?
Whatever is most advantageous to you.
And this is for you. What do you want from this? Do you want to read your user story?
Yes. So what I want as a business owner, I want strategy to develop and meet goals so that my clients get set up to win.
Perfect. Can I have that one? Put it up here.
Great.
I said, as an executive leader, I want a great process for new projects so that my team can be effective and efficient.
Great, thank you. Okay. So it's really funny, we'll talk about the roles later. This we can definitely cover in this sprint. This one's a little bigger, and we will need additional so that we give you more strategy around it. So,
Cool.
All right, but I think you'll get some strategy. I feel like there's a lot more. The reason I added this is that you aren't ready to listen unless you're ready to be changed by the conversation. So here's where we're going. Now, the one thing I want to start with is thinking about your process and where you're at right now. And again, I would be on the whiteboard, but we're on stickies here. So if your product and what you're leading is a boat, what are some of the things that are at the bottom of the boat that are weighing you down?
Okay, so when staff are unmotivated or not excited, when we have old processes, like we've always done it this way, but it's slow or it's not effective.
For me, it's similar, but it's when clients are overwhelmed. And it's when we want to do it all, so we do none of it very well.
It's a good one. Lack of focus.
Lack of focus, yeah.
Let me just get this last one that you said, want to do it all. It's all. And then you get meh product.
You get meh results, yeah.
Don't do any of it very well.
Yeah.
So now thinking in this analogy still, what's the win that propels you forward?
In my situation, it's a mission that everybody really cares about.
Find mission.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely mission as well, and values, and wanting businesses to win, but it's also success. The business rides or die with our success.
Yeah, results, when you get positive results, it
Propels the business forward, yeah.
Awesome. So that's perfect. That's gonna lead me to my next sticky. And I'll need to show it a little bit closer here. And
Awesome.
this is, you get a big Post-it. And I'm gonna write on different parts of the Post-it, so I save paper.
I love it.
Here's the thing we often see, and this is everywhere. And this is what Scrum was made for. So wonderful here. This is what Scrum was made for because it's not unique to you. It was just incredibly painful in the technical space. So what we see is that products are infinite, right? You start with an idea right here, and quickly it builds up and up and up. You can expand those requirements forever. So the thing is that money, time, people, those are tiny. They are
finite,
limited,
yeah.
right? They're finite. And what you've got to do is you've got to take from your base to the top, and you got to figure out, okay, what do I really want? And you say, I want this. But soon you'll start seeing that, hey, my requirements are going up because as you start building, you start learning more. But my resources are going down. But yet, even right here, if you were to go at a straight pace, you might release something that people don't even want. So, the idea of Scrum, the idea of Agile is to produce what customers want, deliver value. I did the whole thing. Okay.
The whole Post-it?
Yes. Again, I'm telling you, I could wipe it off on a whiteboard. You want to deliver value and you want to do it fast. So Agile is all about taking the mirror and looking back at you and figuring out how to get better and figuring out what your customer wants. So we're going to start with, this is called a Kanban board. It comes from Toyota. And it's how to make manufacturing. They came out because they kept having bottlenecks in manufacturing. So it's one of the things that introduces transparency. We have a product backlog, which is everything. This would actually be included. I'll talk about the product backlog. But what I'm committed to delivering here are these items. We've already started on the introduction.
Okay.
So we're gonna go, it's in progress. When I'm complete, I'm gonna send it to you, my stakeholders, and you're gonna tell me if you think we need a little bit more, a little less, or if we can move on.
Okay.
All right? So, we talked about your user story. I told you a little bit of an intro. Now I wanna give you the history. Just a brief two-sentence history. Agile came because what we used to create from the time we started project management is using a system of a nail and a house. You're building the same thing over and over and over again. So a nail is always a nail, and for dozens of decades it's been a nail. With the introduction of technology, a nail is no longer a nail. You're gonna get a new system, a new technology, new stack, new hardware, and it goes really fast. So old product management, old systems, old processes weren't working anymore, and people were miserable, they weren't happy. These are brilliant people that are working over 100 hours a week, and they're miserable and they're failing. So there were pockets.
Are they failing by putting out a product that's ineffective? Are they failing by just being overwhelmed? I mean,
Both, all of it. They're
Okay.
sending out
Not delivering on time.
They're not delivering on time, on budget, not what they want. Things are like Bell Labs. They delivered on time and on budget, but in 2 years, everything new came. Nobody wanted it.
Not relevant anymore.
That's why we don't have Bell Labs, one of the most innovative think shops we ever had, because they couldn't adapt fast enough.
Wow.
So now this process again is all about creating that window, and it's based on values. The core of it is let's make values forefront, and then we'll talk about creating everything on top of it. Okay. So does that make sense? I'm complete here. Do you have any questions? Do you want to move on?
No, I think that's a really cool intro. Do you see the
Awesome.
value in it?
I do.
Okay.
And I love that you're tracking progress review complete.
Right? Yeah. So now we're gonna go into Agile and 2020. So like I mentioned, Agile is a system of values. And it's 4 values and 12 principles. I'm gonna tell you the 4 values, and then we'll track the principles doing a game that I use, which will be useful later on for you guys.
Oh yeah, my marketing team needs this badly.
Right? It's,
Yeah.
it's so infinitely adaptable, and I think this is,
I think marketing is like a great application for this too, because it is like, you know, we all want to do the big idea, we all want to do the big picture, we want to build the big campaign, and then it never works.
and it's all promoters.
Yeah.
That's why they're here.
Exactly. We're all like, oh, we got the best idea ever.
Meanwhile, the
then-
controller is sitting here going, well, am I gonna get results ever?
Ever.
Right? Finish the damn thing. I don't care about this new thing. It's not
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't care what the puppy looks like, just make sure it works.
Yes. So, 4 values of Agile. Individuals and interaction over processes and tools.
Wow.
So one of the coolest things that is really good at why I'm really good at what I do is I'm like, look, if this doesn't work for you, we're throwing it out, because it's all about me and you as the relationships. Business is all about relationships. Working solutions versus comprehensive documentation. So there you go, your promoters who want to write about the writing about the writing.
Yeah.
The other one, and it may not be so unique for you guys, but it definitely was in the tech space, customer collaboration versus contract negotiation.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go, that's the Bell Labs. That was the failure in the Bell Labs.
So that's a feedback loop and what you're getting constant surveying and reviews from your customer. Okay, cool.
You're actually going to use the product demo, and I'll talk a little bit about that.
I love that.
And then finally, you're responding to change versus following a plan.
Oh.
Plans are useless, but planning is essential. That was Dwight D. Eisenhower. So, there you go. Any questions on these?
No.
Okay. So we are going to do a game. It's called 2020, and you can use this later when you're doing sprint prioritization, but it's a useful game. Do you remember when you're in, have you ever done an eye exam where they're like, which one's better, this one or this one?
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do.
Sweet.
12 principles, okay? So one of the principles is our highest priority, and this is, we're gonna prioritize it for you guys.
Okay.
This is, 18 white men in Utah drunk and skiing and having a good time. They came up with it in this order, but we're gonna come up with it in your order. Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software.
What?
Number 2, and you're gonna tell me which one, if you want it to go up or down. Welcome changing requirements even late in development. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. Is it higher priority or lower?
I feel like they're very relevant to each other. I think satisfaction is kind of where we.
I say lower.
Yeah, I say lower as well.
Boom. Number 3, deliver working solutions frequently from a couple of weeks to a couple of months with a preference for the shorter time scale.
I think above 2 and below 1.
Yeah, definitely above 2. And this comes from a software background, so these are made for a software situation, so I'm trying to
Trying to apply.
It
Yeah.
applies, right? This
I'm
actually
thinking of it-
says working software usually, but I put
Yeah,
solution.
like I'd rather have a working social media campaign and then revise it every 2 weeks than wait 6 months for
Yes.
a social media campaign.
Business people and the team must work together daily throughout the project.
So business people and developers.
The team.
I would
Yeah.
almost put that on the lowest because I don't want my business people touching my team. I want my team to be focused on what they're doing and come back to the business people and go, what do you think?
I wouldn't say daily. I would say frequently.
Frequently.
Because if you're not satisfying your business people, then you're on the wrong track and you're wasting time. But frequently, for sure. So as written as daily, I'd put it lower.
Well,
Yeah.
let's do frequently. We just modified it.
So
We iterated.
frequently. Agile process harness change for the customer's competitive advantage.
I would put that, for me, I would put that between 3 and 2.
I would too.
Number 5, build projects around motivated individuals. Give them the environment and support they need and trust them to get the job done.
Huge.
The higher the
Lower, you gotta
lower, yeah.
deliver regardless of who's on the team.
Yep.
What about with business people and working together?
I think it's above.
I'd put it between 4 and 2, but I'm open to negotiation.
You'd put it between 4 and 2. Give them an environment, support they need, and trust to get the job done. Yeah, I mean, I'd put it between 4 and 2 because if they're not, you're a business person in this regard, so if they're not delivering the results, that we need to discuss that.
The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a team is face-to-face conversation.
Ooh.
Between 3 and 4, yeah. You think lower?
I don't know, on my team, we can be very effective on the phone.
Would the face-to-face be considered phone calls too? Or?
No.
Oh, this is face-to-face.
I'm looking at you and I'm gonna tell you what I'm committed to.
Yeah.
No, I like Slack, Asana, that would be,
Low for you.
yeah. Communication's super important, face-to-face conversation.
Would it go on the bottom for you?
Yeah, I really don't like number 2, so it could go below number 2 for me.
It could go below.
Or
Okay.
go, yeah.
I can see it. I mean, I work with independent
Fair enough.
contractors that are, remote entirely. Right there?
Remote entirely can still be face-to-face over Google Hangouts or
Yeah.
Zoom. I'm face-to-face with a lot of remote people.
Okay.
Working solutions are the primary measure of progress. So like your campaign, your social media campaign, that it's working, that's progress.
Three and 4.
So if we put number 3 as the second highest, doesn't that imply that we really value working solutions?
It's a little different. This is deliver it frequently.
Frequently.
This is the measure of progress.
Yeah, I would put that between 3 and 4.
3 and 4 as well. Yeah.
Agile processes promote sustainable development work. The sponsors, team, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. So if I deliver this, I'm gonna deliver it next week, and you can count on it, it's reliable.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we've discussed even the problem with PR agent firms theoretically is, month 1 of their retainer, they deliver a hit, month 2, 0, and month 3, 2, and I get to month 3 and I'm like, why didn't I get those results the entire time?
Where would you rank it?
Pretty high. I would rank it above 4.
I don't have. Sure.
Cool.
Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. So doing a job well.
Doing a job well.
Or as Elon Musk says, excellence is a passing grade.
I would say between 1 and 3.
I put it lower.
Okay. Where would you put it?
I would put it between 4 and 5.
I'm open to that.
It's a big jump.
That's a big jump.
And the two of you.
Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. See, but if a process isn't working, that's when things get broken, that's when things get, that's when you get a bad link.
For me though,
or
there's
that's when-
working and then there's excellence.
So let's do this.
Yeah,
Is it higher or lower than number 1?
lower.
Is it higher or lower than number 3?
For me, it's lower, because if you have a working solution, that implies that you have
Lower,
Is
some
it
level
higher or
of-
lower than number 7?
lower.
lower.
Is it higher or lower than number 8?
I think it's above for me personally, and I know.
Higher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We just started to understand the value of this process.
Ah!
I just put together what you're doing.
Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential.
Ooh.
You think low?
I would put this between 4 and 5.
Yeah, I would put it between 4 and 8. That's pretty similar.
4 and 8.
Yeah.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one? Well, let's see.
I know how important it is for your business for you to have oversight, so I think I would probably negotiate between 4 and 5.
You can align.
I can align, yes.
The best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. So the best solutions emerge from self-organizing teams.
Can you talk about what a self-organizing team is in this context?
Yeah, if there were a lot of you, I would have you stand up. So go ahead and stand up. And line yourself in order of your birthday.
In a year or?
I'd be first.
Yes, you definitely be first.
Okay, so there you go. That's, you just self-organized. I gave you a problem. And then you figured it out.
That's self-organizing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Huh. Again, I know how much you like 4.
Say for you.
So yeah, for me it would be above 4 because I think, but I've also seen errors caused because I feel like I fit the business person in this. So I could do directly below 4 on this.
I would put it even lower than that, but not
Okay.
much lower.
You think under 10?
No. Yeah, under 10. Between
All right.
10 and 5.
Yeah, I can align to that.
Okay, and number 12, at regular intervals, your team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its own behavior accordingly.
Going to the bottom up, let's see. I would put it somewhere in that range.
Between 11 and 10.
Or 10 or 11 and 5.
I'd put it between 11 and 10.
Caroline? Perfect. This is
Yep.
called 2020. And when people, your stakeholders, your customers say, I have 10, they're all number 1 priorities.
This is how you prioritize.
This is how you prioritize.
So this is how you put your backlog together.
Yes, it is. Yes.
I caught on to that part of the way through. I was like,
Hey.
oh. So maybe, do you get what she just did?
Mm-hmm. Well, you can't have everything. Everything can't be number 1.
Yep.
Exactly.
And if people aren't aligned on how to prioritize, you have challenges.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So, my question for you is, what is the most important value or principle? You know what? I put this one. You know what? Hold on. That's the next part.
Next part.
Okay, so that's Agile. And this is the Agile. That game is called 2020. So, do you have any questions on it?
No, I think the application's pretty straightforward. It's awesome.
Okay, perfect. I'm making it complete. Now we're gonna go into Scrum values. So this is Agile. Like, people talk about let's go Agile. This is Agile. That's it. There's
That's
no
all it is.
nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is it.
And this could relate to anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, meaning when you have more things to do than you have the capacity to do, you sit everybody in a room and say more important, less important, more important, less important, and then you get your
Yeah,
list.
yeah. So that's it. You in fact, when I'm coaching, I'm like, okay, which one of these values are in breakdown? What's the highest breakdown, and how can we help that? So what happened is that out of this, there's been frameworks developed to put this into practice. In fact, actually, there were a lot of other frameworks, and this was just a reflection of what all those frameworks were reflecting. The most popular one is Scrum. Can you guys help me put this up? You know, like, you guys can keep these or whatever. Like,
I would love to keep these.
that way it goes faster. So Scrum is also values-based. And the Scrum values are as follows. But Scrum actually has a system to it, and we'll talk about that system. Focus. Courage. Oh yeah, I can't do that. Openness. Commitment and respect. So those are the Scrum values.
Love it.
Now, here's the,
It's very transformationally compatible.
I know. So it's like that. My first transformation was actually Scrum.
It's the most important value out of these 5.
That, yeah, out of those 5.
Yeah.
Get to share it. I'll get to share. Now remember, this is like usually over a whole weekend. It's a lot slower. There's
I'm loving the pace of this and like how it breaks down from values into how this can be applicable. This is
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Do you want to share?
Yeah. So the value most important to me is commitment because 100% is easy, everything else is hard.
Ah, love it. So I said the value most important to me is commitment because when you are committed to something, all the other values will follow. If you have to have all the others values follow in order to be successful.
Okay. I'll share mine. Mine is respect because in the words of a famous Mexican leader, respect between people, as in respect between countries, and as in respect between people, is peace. So now these are going to be, we're going to talk about the high performance tree. You'll be able to take this.
Awesome.
So our tree, you're taking Grace, right?
Uh-huh.
So our tree, the roots of the tree are these Scrum values. And this work comes from a woman called June Tabaka. She's amazing. She's done work on collaboration. So when you fill your tree, when the nutrients of this tree are these values, you come out with high-performing teams that are empowered, consensus-driven, believe they can solve any problem, they have constructive disagreement, trust motivates the team, they are self-organizing, they own their own decisions, and they are committed to success. Sounds great, right?
Uh-huh.
And now the fruits of that tree, fruits is that there's room for team and individual growth, but you also get value faster. Not only that, you get the right business value. You get astonishing results, and you get teams that can do anything. So that's really, I've seen it time and time again, and it's beautiful. It's like the team at the end of an LP.
Mm-hmm.
This is, you can have that.
They're like
during-
glue.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like glue. You can have that with this.
Cool.
So Scrum is really a problem exposing tool. And now here's my conversation with you guys. I'm gonna give you these nice little.
Awesome.
We're gonna talk about, this is the process, this is Scrum. So we're gonna start here on the corner.
Mhm.
And on the corner, those are your ideas. Ideas are infinite. They're forever coming through. And like they come from the ether, but they need to get filtered down into actionable items.
Mhm.
And finally, they get filtered down into something called a product. Now, every product knows that, like in Scrum, you have to have somebody called the product owner. That's this guy here. And if you fill in the lines, that's, and I'm being so sexist, just that your product owner is the visionary of the team. They're the one who sees all these ideas and figures out how to give value. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this visionary in the next set, a little bit down. Just for now, you know, visionary. And they take all of these ideas and they put them into something called a product backlog. And the product backlog is a series of functionalities. We'll talk a little bit more, but these are all the pieces, right? So this product owner took a piece and they're rearranging it. They prioritize it, and they also make it into something smaller. And well, actually, they have their product backlog, and then they go in front of the team. This is your team. This is your product team. Product team.
Product team.
And those are there's 3 roles in Scrum, so we've gotten 2. And at the beginning of something called a sprint, they do what's called a sprint review. That's your box right here. And the team looks at the product backlog. But first, the product owner gets to say something like, hey, this sprint, we really need to focus on X. And if they had a newspaper headline for whatever that sprint was, that's where they get to vision and tell folks what it's all about. Okay, like in LP, we had the toothpick week. So, okay, so that was the toothpick, that was the headline.
Mm-hmm.
So the team then takes things on to deliver that headline, and they create what's called a sprint backlog. They're saying, hey, in this sprint,
That's here?
yeah. In this sprint, we will take this on, and we are committed to, and it's a game. We're committed to get it done. So let me tell you, the sprints, this is the sprint right here, this circle. It's between 1 and 4 weeks. You don't want it to be more than 4 weeks, because after 28 days, people forget. They get this little craziness. They think things are good. They're not.
So whose job is it to assess on how much can get done during a sprint?
The team.
The team.
The team. They're like, yeah, we can do that. Right? Like I assessed that I could get to here, but maybe I could get to here, but I'm committed to get to here. So, right.
Awesome.
Yeah. So your team has that sprint, that's the 1 to 4 weeks, but they also, every 24 hours, this little guy here, they have what's called a daily scrum. That's every 24 hours. And what they're doing is it's a moment to inspect and adapt. How are we doing against our sprint commitment?
This could also be called a stand-up, right?
A stand-up, yes. And they're looking at their commitment on the board. So like if it was 24 hours, like I'd be like, okay, I completed this. This is getting in my way. Here we go.
Okay.
And when they are done with their sprint, they have what's called potentially shippable increments. Potentially shippable product increments. And that means your campaign, right? what's the smallest portion are you familiar with MVP, minimum viable products? It's your minimal viable product. Increment. Increments. And you're gonna use the sprint review, so that's that box next to it.
Here?
Yeah.
Oh, so the box is always a sprint review?
That box is the sprint review. The one above it is the daily scrum. Yeah. And you're gonna have your stakeholders and your product owner review it.
That's down here.
That one is actually your retrospective, but right up there. So, hey, this is what we finished. What do you guys think? Like, do we want to, and it's actually owned by your product owner, that meeting right there.
This one?
Yeah, that's owned by your product owner. And they're gonna invite the right stakeholders. They're gonna do all the prep work as to what questions they need to ask. Like, questions like, oh, go ahead.
So you could have one product owner manage multiple products across an organization for different levels in the organization too.
You can.
That would be one way to do it.
It's definitely one way. I would say.
So does a product owner need to be internal on a team, or can it be somebody that's on the outside and steps into multiple teams in the organization?
We'll talk about the roles and then we can ask that question in a moment.
Okay, cool.
So, well, let me ask about the product team, the product owner.
And the team's relationship, I guess.
So, Scrum, like, if you're doing it by the book, there's one product owner, one team. So it's a one-to-one relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll put this in review just so that I make sure I cover that. Okay. But yeah, this is where they're asking questions like, hey, is it okay? Can we ship it as is? Do you want us to work on it a little bit more? Do you want us to adjust the time frame? What, like, they're really figuring out what your stakeholder wants. And so that then they go, so it's really your stakeholders starting to see what they get. And they're getting in on the dialogue. And the team's there, they see what the stakeholders see. So then the team gets together, and this is a, your last role is your Scrum Master. And the team, after the product demo or the sprint review, they get together and do a retrospective. That's your last box right there. And this is where they're inspecting and adapting. Hey, what went well? What needs work? Where do we need to reinvent ourselves? Okay. So that is your sprint process. The little chart right here, it actually should be up here. That's your burn down chart. At the beginning of you've heard of that, so. Yeah. So if I had assigned values to these, but remember estimating is it's in the backlog. If I had assigned values to these, I could get a burn down chart to see how I'm doing overall.
So what exactly is that? That's where we are in the product backlog, or is that something else?
Yeah, so let's say this is 100 points.
Uh-huh.
It's a velocity, like this is 100 points worth of work. Every day I would see where I'm at. So maybe I'm at 20 points worth of work. And then I know, am I tracking against where I want to go? Am I like, what do I need to step up?
So
it's just.
Yeah, the context in which I've seen this is I have a new outsourced CTO, and with development tasks for the registry,
right.
He'll have our developer, like, here's the things we're working on in this next sprint, although he doesn't call it that with me.
Right.
And the developer estimates how long it's going to take, and then he plots it, which means a week from now we should have this much done, 2 weeks from now we should have this much done, 3 weeks from now we should have this much done, and then tracks, are we actually getting it done? Is it actually burning down at the pace that we said it would, so that we're on track to hit where we said we were going to be in a month?
And if for some reason we're not, then we adjust our goals or adjust the
Exactly.
team. Cool.
Yeah. So you have 2 points where the team's adjusting. It's at their daily stand-up, and it's at their the sprint retrospective.
At the retrospective.
The product is adjusting at the demo.
Okay. How often do you have this sprint reviews?
At the end of every sprint.
Oh, at the end of every sprint. Okay, so then the only thing during the sprint is the daily.
Is the daily, yes.
Which is who's working on what's
Where are
occurring,
we?
have we
Yeah.
come across anything new,
Are we gonna make it?
or are we gonna make it?
And is it every single person on the team?
If
is
you're
in that
working-
daily review?
Yeah. If if you're working on it, you're all together.
Is the product owner in the daily?
They can be. It's really, usually your, the core is your team. Scrum Master goes and listens to see if there's anything the 3 questions that are typically asked is, what did I finish yesterday? What am I working on tomorrow? What's getting in my way? Your Scrum Master is listening for what's getting in the way, because then they're gonna go block on block. Any questions?
No, I mean, it makes total sense. So the Scrum Master, the product owner could be any executive, somebody owning that, hey, account manager basically for advertising. It could be somebody managing the account saying, we need to get all this done for our client, and then we're going to put it to the team through this process. Product owner doesn't need to be in the daily stand-up, but could be.
Exactly.
And then the Scrum Master is just basically the person who's stepping in and organizing the product, right?
Yes.
So anyone in the company could be a product owner at any given point.
Yeah.
If they control the account, if they control the piece of technology or whatever it might be, they would assume the role of product owner or bring one in.
Yeah.
And then the Scrum Master would be the person who understands the process of this and implements it on the team.
Yeah.
Clear?
So the Scrum Master does not have to be a technical expert in whatever product the team is developing. They have to be an expert in Scrum.
Yes. And in teams, right? Because
So that could be even an outside coach, that could be an outside resource that you just bring in and you say, okay, we want to implement a better project management solution because we notice we're using this person at 20% and this person at 80%. How can we use everyone at their max?
And we're actually moving away from that because we're focused on the team. Remember, the team's self-organizing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saying, hey, you actually, as product owner, has to drive that inspiration of why everything's so important, of what to create that fire. And so the team then takes it on. So the whole assumption is that the team's doing 100%. And in the retrospective, that's where if I'm in a team of, and no more than 9, you want 3 to 9 people. If I'm in a team and someone's not holding their weight, it's very clear on a board.
Right.
And then we're gonna talk.
Right. So if I have 4 people on one account and they're working together and they notice, okay, this person's supposed to be supporting us, but we're not really getting the value out of them, that would come up with the retrospective.
Exactly.
And then we would assess, does the team need to increase in size or decrease in size based on whatever the retrospective brings about.
So say, hey, we committed to this, and John, you didn't pull through, and we needed this, and what was going on? What happened?
Yep. So it's positive confrontation.
Constructive disagreement.
Constructive disagreement, yes. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
Okay, we're gonna do Scrum roles. Now at the top, go ahead and put your product owner.
Up here?
Yeah. On that side, put the team. Left, I guess I'm like thinking that it's flipped.
The team.
Team.
Okay.
On the right, put stakeholder. And underneath, go ahead and put Scrum Master. So your stakeholders have a vision and want something done. So you're gonna point your stakeholder to point a line from the stakeholder to the product owner. Really, they contacted this product owner, and what we like to say is the product owner is the CEO of the product. We have this, you're the CEO. So the stakeholder is gonna go ahead and tell them on the lines, you can put needs and constraints. So this is what we need, this is the budget we have, this is when we need this. And of course, there's gonna be dialogue when we talk about that. So what you can do is to represent the dialogue, go ahead and put on the outside, put arrows pointing. Yeah. So then The product owner gets to spend, in an ideal world, and this is why I wanted to go over that before we talked about the question. In an ideal world, your product owner is spending 1/3 of their time with the stakeholders, gathering the information. And remember, your stakeholders aren't just your customer. They're your legal department, your shareholders, your accounting, all of the folks that have any input. So 1/3 of the time. Now the product owner assembles the team. So you can put that central line straight to the team. And the product owner tells the team the what and the why they're building. And again, the team has input, so there's dialogue there. You can do that back and forth. And the product owner ideally spends another 1/3 of their time with the team. And then the team, so the idea is the product owner hires the team to make the vision happen. The stakeholders hire the product owner. Product owner hires the team, and the team hires the Scrum Master. So you put the team to the Scrum Master. So they're like, hey, we need a coach to make this happen. The Scrum Master is the bottleneck detector. They are the change agent, the mentor and the help. So they help drive change. Any questions?
So the team is going to the Scrum Master for coaching and for...
Make our process better. Yeah, we can only get
Process.
this far. How do we get better? And it's a coaching role, really. If the why is strong enough, that team is going to be pulling on, like, the Scrum Master. Hey, we want to get this, you know, like, we want to unlock this because it's going to make this happen. Okay. The thing about product owners, and this is where there's a lot of breakdown with product owners, is they have to be available, they have to be knowledgeable, and they have to be authorized. So when I'm saying available, they need to spend their 1/3 of their time with their stakeholders and be in the dialogue and prepare for that sprint review. They have to spend 1/3 of the time with the team because the team's gonna be like, hey, you asked for this. So let's this design team is creating this, and the product owner is gonna give this to the team. So when the team's building this, they're gonna be like, hey, you know what, this isn't gonna work here because of this constraint. So they need to talk to the product owner.
To see if that's flexible.
And to see what the next solution is. So, yeah. So the product owner needs to be available with the team because until that's answered, that team's not gonna move. They don't want their work wasted. They don't want it shredded. So, so when you're available to your team and your stakeholders, you're knowledgeable, you wanna be knowledgeable, both technical about what you're doing and about the process itself, where the teams are in the process, and you have to have the authority. So your account manager may or may not have the authority to make decisions. They may be overridden by senior leadership or whatever it is. So you want that. If we're talking about 1/3, where do you think the other 1/3 of the product owner's time is?
You with the Scrum Master?
Actually, good question. It could be. It's here. They're building the backlog.
Building the backlog.
They're working through that backlog.
What's most important to do next?
Yes. And how do I make this clear? How do I develop the story? How do I tell the story? How do I share it? All of that. So those are the roles. And this group, the business outcomes of these 4 together is the profitability of the product to keep costs down and to handle the products with their infinite backlogs. Because high quality products will change over time. And remember with backlogs, garbage in equals garbage out. So if that product owner is not accurately defining the work, your team is not set up to win. Any questions on that? Did that answer your question about your product owner versus the team?
Yeah. I mean, I think they need to be available, knowledgeable, and authorized.
Yeah. Ideally, it's one-to-one. It doesn't happen that way. I've not seen any company that has one-to-one.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine where that would be a very nice job.
It's actually, you'd be really, I mean, if you think about Steve Jobs, he was one-to-one for the whole Apple product.
For the whole thing, yeah.
So, yeah, then you get that much value. So, I'm putting this in review. Do you have any questions? Can we move on?
Are you seeing value?
Awesome. We're gonna talk about product planning light. This is where we're gonna start getting into the strategic world. Do you wanna take a break?
No.
Perfect.
Good for now.
Okay, so we're gonna play a game together. The product owner and Scrum, actually this is, if we came from a break. You guys work together. This is your word bank, and this is your puzzle.
Yay.
Okay, final approval blank for the team. Oh, I didn't.
I'll be back.
Okay, so I'm guessing that this is attend and participate in the sprint review, retrospective, and daily scrum.
Yes. Manage the release plan. Or is that product release? Roadmap, that would be roadmap, and this would be release plan. Yes?
I think so. So, that's roadmap.
Is it product roadmap?
No, I thought we said this is collaborative development, manage the product.
They create the roadmap. Product.
Well, let's go here. Inspire the team for sure, right?
Yeah.
Is there a final approver of priorities for the team?
Yeah, that's what it would be. Build and manage the product backlog.
Where does feedback go? Where does feedback go?
I think it went here.
So there's 8 blanks.
Yeah, but they wouldn't provide any other kind of feedback to the team.
Is this vision?
Yeah. This would be build and manage, right? Because that's day-to-day task for them. Collaborate and manage the product, roadmap, and establish a product vision.
Oh, I think I did that one wrong.
With feedback?
Yeah.
We figured that out.
I was like, feedback doesn't go anywhere. And then yes, that would be feedback.
Cool.
Did we get it right?
Yeah.
We won!
Yay. I do these because writing it down accesses more of your brain.
Mhm.
Helps you remember. Okay, so now, how often do you sit in a room and think you understand everything? And yet, if you were to look at people's brains,
Oh my
common
god.
understanding looks like this.
Daily.
Yeah, all the time.
Okay. Right, so the idea of this process, the planning process, is to move it more towards this. So you guys get to share that together.
And everyone sees the same thing.
Oh, okay. So
As
perfect.
opposed to 3 weeks later being like, oh shit. You
That's
thought I
what you
meant
meant.
that."
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
Never
So-
done that before.
I want to talk about the product flame.
Ooh.
And it talks about your different levels in your organization. You have your executives or your board. You have your product management and you have your team. The dev team is your team. So the strategy is the biggest flame. It's a 3 to 5 years. You're looking at your mission statement, your annual report, all of those projections. Then underneath, you have your portfolio. This is where your product manager is starting to come in. Well, really, your executives are right here. Product manager is starting to come in, and you're looking at the portfolio. That's 1 to 3 years. Your product is also 1 to 3 years, right? You want to look at that. Your executives are now, they don't care anymore. So they're letting that go. Product manager owns the portfolio. This is where, again, in the portfolio, 1 year budget and your 3 year roadmap. Also your product roadmap is happening here.
Mm.
Then you go down to your release. And we're gonna talk about release later over here. I'm not sure, we'll see where we're at. And that's really your release plan. How much can we get done? And then from your release, you do your sprints. And that's where your dev team is coming in. They're coming in right around here. This is like the amount of information to make it simple. And they're talking about the sprint backlog. And then on a daily basis, it's your 24 hours, and that's your burn down. Your burn down. Okay, so that's the levels.
Super cool.
That's awesome.
Now focusing on products. First one is define your product essence. So if we look at these brands, which I drew so lovely, what's the essence of those? If you could say it in 3 words or under 4 words.
Just do it.
Just do it. The
Ultimate driving machine and think different.
There you go. How brilliant is that? That we know, we're just looking at that, we know exactly what it is. Right, so this is for you both separately. What's the essence of your product? In 4 words.
Yeah.
In under 4 words. Yay, I love it. So good. That's your driving force. Now, what you want to do is, in product, you want to start there. You also want to go into your personas. Have you ever done empathy maps?
I've done personas.
It's kind of, I mean, personas are a little more generic, but these are empathy maps. Oh, here's the first one. I thought I lost this picture, but here it is, the one I drew. There you go, see
Yeah.
that? So this is for your client. You want to be clear before you even start before you even start road mapping.
Mhm.
You want to be clear about who it is that you're building for. So, does your person have a name? Does your main person have a name? And I'm going to give you a few minutes to fill this out because it's just nice to get our juices flowing. So if you had an archetypical person, what's their name? Perfect. What do they think? What are the thoughts that go in their head? Did you put Sally?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I love it. You're an MBA, aren't you?
I am.
Uh-huh.
But I'm thinking of a specific Sally when I write that.
Oh, how awesome. All MBAs I know, they use Sally.
Is Sally an MBA example?
I guess so. I'm thinking of Sally Henley.
Yeah, I figured that. That's funny.
So what is Katie, what does Sally see? What are some things that are pivotal in their life? Like,
So for Katie, it's that she wants to be hip, she wants to be the center of attention, she wants to be on the hot new thing.
okay.
Yeah.
So then she's seeing herself in the mirror, or like how does she see, like what are pivotal things
Snapchat.
she's looking at? Okay, she's seeing Snapchat, right?
Yeah.
Like I did one with the dating app, and that's generic enough. Where it's like, what do you see? As a woman, you see all of these, and like all of these invites or messages.
Cool.
And what are things that they're hearing? What are people around them saying? And finally, if they had a slogan? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I can listen with one ear.
If they had a slogan, what would they say? What kind of things do they do? What activities are they in?
Either positive and negative.
Yeah, cool. And key, what's their pain? What frustrates them? And what are the things that they would love to have? Like, what can they use in their life? So the reason I'm doing this and going a little bit more into the product essence is because you can't start a roadmap, you can't start a backlog until you know really what you're doing this for. And ultimately, your products are to alleviate pain and create delight. So,
Very cool.
yeah. So I'm going a little bit more deeply. Ideally, a product owner would want to do this for all of their stakeholders. So somebody for their team, somebody for accounting, somebody so that they know exactly where their stakeholders' heads are and they
Everybody's
can
coming
build
from.
for. Now, did you get any value from that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It allows you to connect. This is, you know what, I only did one. Yikes. You know what, I'll let you write over this one. Just right on the side, I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
So this is your product differentiation. And answer these questions about the product that you're building. Because that's gonna be where your product backlog is gonna come from. So I would actually, it's for
Her.
It's for Katie. Or if you want to say young, blah, blah, somethings. Yeah, or young business owners. is dissatisfied with, and then you have it right there in your pain points. Product is, and then you can use them. You can use this right there. Your product is a way to save pets and enrich lives. Is a life enriching, and then you just go. Okay, you guys got it. So this becomes your true north when you're building. It becomes the mission statement that the team builds towards. They get to learn so that they can make educated decisions. Now I want to ask you a little bit more about, like, again, this is product planning light. There's other things that are gonna, like, there's other factors, matrices, and how to do. I'm not gonna do that, but this is the very beginning, right? So let's just start thinking about your roadmap and what's working for you and what needs work for your own roadmap.
Can something be on both?
Yeah. Heck yeah, all the time.
So what works is existing clients, referrals, execution, and branding. Those things work for my company really well.
Awesome.
What needs work, top of funnel for a low cost, referrals as well. Outbound, process, the team size gets to grow, and alignment around deliverables.
Okay, that's pretty clear. Okay.
So for me, I put down what works, and I'm sort of mixing here. We have multiple product lines, but
Mhm.
vision works, our creative works, our customer service works, our product works. What needs work is specificity around timeline, tactics, execution, and then accountability.
Okay. Awesome. So knowing what you know, now that you have three tools here. You have your empathy map, your differentiating statement, and what needs work in your product. Are you able to think of an MVP? And I would actually even say with you, it's your whole organization is your product. Is there an MVP, a minimal product that you can launch that will support your teams? That.
Yeah, for me, it's deliverable structure.
Okay, deliverable structure.
AKA offering.
So for me, it's a marketing campaign.
Awesome. So we're gonna go into the iceberg. won't go too deeply into it, but the Agile iceberg is everything just like the flame. It's iterative. So we just define your MVP. Under your MVP, you want to define your minimal viable functions. So what are some functions within the marketing campaign?
Email, social, PR, website.
Awesome.
For me, it's small business, enterprise. Hourly structure. MSPs.
What are MSPs?
Managed services.
Ah. So then what you want to do, and this is where the product goes, is you've got to start breaking this down into bigger stories underneath it. So what are the big, if you broke this down even further, what are the big pieces under email? What are the big pieces of work that has to go into email?
It's like, you've got content, you've got creative, you've got automation.
Now, is there anything that you can slice small that would give you an increment like this that would have all of this?
Yeah, it would be like, there's a new adopter email flow, which is different than a daycare customer email flow.
Segment.
Okay, so segments, right?
Yep.
Okay. So that's gonna be your epic level. And then the same, we're just gonna say it's similar in the product. And then right here, where is something that, so let me give you an example. So it helps, because this is tough. This is really tough. This is one of my toughest pieces. At Ticketmaster, our MVPs are usually, if we do a new ticketing service, it's can we send one ticket through? Can we send 2 tickets through? Okay, now let's look at their performance and let's adapt to that. So that's really our thin slice, as opposed to,
A whole campaign.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, for me, under enterprise solutions, it would be data analytics, data segmentation.
Analytics for what story?
Demographic and psychographic.
Okay, so is there a story that these two can work together to create? So,
Yeah, it's the same. They're basically the same.
okay, they're the same. So
Yeah.
then it would be like one, story one,
Yeah. And then story
and a
2.
big one.
So story one would be something like, if you wanted to increase the basket size of one-time customers.
There you go.
And story 2 might be like, increase the retention of trial offers to monthly packages.
Right.
The conversion of trial offers into monthly packages.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then what you do is then you break it down into, okay, say you're going on 1 week sprints, and the team's like, no, we can't do that in 1 week. We need a few weeks. So then you break it down even further into user stories that would fit into 1 week. Okay, so what can you get done this week? Okay, we can lay this functionality down, this functionality.
We can create a coupon. We can create a
Yes.
new offering. We can create a come back to the store and get 20% off discount, right?
Yes, and same thing with the segment one, right? So what can you get done this week? Or this sprint? How can we get this broken down into chunks? Because what we don't want is we don't want to, imagine if I had put the training right here, we would have been in progress forever.
Yep.
Even though I'm gonna get it done, we would be in progress forever, there's no movement. Did you notice how like there's something about the momentum that builds when you get to down and come start something new?
Yeah.
So that, again, that's why it takes a third of the product owner's work, time, is because they get to break it down into chunks like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then the team, once they pull something in, they can break it down into tasks. So, yeah, we'll take this, product, so let's go back with the SCRUM values and workflows, if I had a partner. Okay, you do the workflows, I'll do the values, you do the roles, but we'll get that whole piece done together.
Awesome, yeah.
Perfect. That's product planning light for you. Do you have any questions? Yeah, because it's not, it's just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Got it. Yep, clear.
Perfect. Again, there's complicated, they're not complicated, but there's ways you can
Layers
weight
and
things,
layers and
right?
layers.
Yeah,
You gotta get pretty granular
yeah,
at a certain point, yeah.
yeah. Okay, do you want to talk about estimating?
Sure,
Do you
yeah.
want to take that on?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. And then we have to review, so throw that in. So estimating, have you guys heard of the golden ratio?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know what it is? Do you know the numbers?
It's Fibonacci sequence, right?
Yeah.
I've heard it like in relationship to face shape and things like that. I don't know
Right.
if that's the same thing.
1 to 3 to 5 to 7 to
It's the addition.
14.
So 1 plus 1.
5 to 8 to 13. Yeah, that's it.
So 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34.
Yeah.
We kind of use those to bucket because it's not quite double, and it helps, like, you know the difference between a 2 and a 3, and a 3 and a 5, and a 5 and an 8, and it's pretty, and it's quantifiable. So we'll talk about this in a second. My question to you guys, how many steps would it take for me to reach that door?
I'll say 8. Maybe.
Depends how wide of a step you're taking. Like a regular step, I can align to 8.
8 steps?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Awesome. How many steps, and actually I would, that was pretty simple, right?
Hmm?
How many steps would it take for me to walk to China? Or walk to Mexico City?
What's the like infinity one?
Right? Too fucking big. Right, so
Yeah.
it's the whole idea of these numbers is to get a sense of complexity. And actually, what I would even have said, you went to 8, I would have even challenged you as a Scrum Master to be like, well, can you really test that? Or do you need to know how much, like, do we need to do a story first to figure out how big my step is? Or
Mm.
how big of a step? Or you could have asked me as a product owner, right? How big of a step are you taking? Because I could have gone like this.
Yeah.
Screw you! So that's, there you go. But, so that's
Okay.
the first thing.
So that's to estimate how many tasks we need to put in and how many stories we need to break into.
Well, it's to start at quantifying how much work a team can do.
Clear.
Do you remember that story where they talk about the teacher who puts like all these rocks in a jar and they're like, hey, is that the best I can do? Yeah, it's full. Is it full? Yeah.
And then you have the pebbles, and then you have the sand, and then you have the water.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is all about when we start quantifying, what you start seeing is that the team, not only do they become competitive, they're like, hey, last time I did 80, let's do 100 this time. And they're gonna fail. And I'll talk about the estimating a little bit, but first I'm gonna talk about, they start realizing how to shift that and put more stuff in. Because they create a
faster.
rhythm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they start understanding each other and how to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
So, when Scrum first came out, and I hate talking about it, but it is a true fact, teams could get what's called hyper productive, which means 6 times their normal. Like if I got a baseline of 100 points, within 12 weeks, I would have 600 points because they would get so efficient with this task. The thing about not sharing it is that then all these executives start expecting this to happen and people game the system and there's no credibility in it. So, but having that like 6 times your amount of effort because of the rhythm, and this is where the ballpoint game is amazing. That's where it does work.
The ballpoint game. I'll have to look that up.
So I'm gonna come back here. And we're gonna start saying, we're gonna go with the product backlog. We're gonna pretend this never happened. And you're the team. No one what you know now. Usually you don't know as much as you know now, but you can assign these here, these numbers, and we're gonna start sizing. So intro,
Let's call that a 3.
okay, you wanna call it a 3? Okay, perfect. Can you take it in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, perfect. And your velocity now, your estimated velocity is at a 3. And velocity is how much that quantifying. What about Agile 2020?
About 5 to 8. What do you think?
8.
8?
Okay, do you think you can take it in?
Mm-hmm.
This one? Perfect. It's an 8. Scrum values, workflow, and roles.
That's bigger than an 8 to me.
Okay. Yeah. About a 13.
Well, how long is our sprint?
The sprint is
This meeting.
This meeting.
This meeting?
This evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you think you can take it in?
Well, we
Perfect.
have, so
Yeah.
Okay, so how much do you want to score it at?
was it bigger than an 8, so a 13?
Okay.
Or 10. Can we do a 10?
No, I don't have a 10.
We don't have
It's
a
a
10. No 10
13
to
or a
work with.
21.
Cool. We're doing with 13.
And you can see how it's relative. You know that this isn't a 21 because it's not more than double that.
Yeah. Clear.
So that's why these are easy. And then product planning light,
About a 5. No?
What is that, 8?
8.
8.
Call it an
Okay, perfect. So you think it was as heavy as this one?
8. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then estimating. Well, we won't talk about that. Are you guys, you're committed to this?
Mhm.
Perfect. This one, are you sure? You can say, I'm not sure. And then, so now you have 16, 19 plus 13 is 32. That's your velocity, right? But because of improvements, hey, we did great, our rhythm, we were taking each other on this sprint, amazing, we could take this in. So how much do you think estimating is?
About an 8.
Awesome. So now we're actually at a 40 velocity, we've grown to a 40, yeah! So cool, so now you have the 40. Now, all of this here, you can start estimating, hey, is this like a 89? Well, this is too big for an 89, but this one is a 55. This one's a 31. It's an estimate.
Yeah.
And then you could start breaking it down and saying, you know what, this is about, so say this is a 55, and this is a 34, so it's 89 points.
Yeah.
But your team does 40 points. So this is
sprint.
actually gonna take three sprints. There you go.
My team's gonna do a lot of sprints.
Until they don't.
Until they don't.
And, right?
Or I'm
your
gonna
team
need a
needs-
bigger team.
And your team needs a lot of sprints anyways, right? So there you go. That's estimating.
Clear.
Any questions?
Super cool.
No.
Okay,
Super
perfect.
cool.
We can move
Yeah.
on?
Mhm.
Love it.
Okay. We are now in review.
We're in review of the review?
Yes,
Oh, no, we're in progress of the review.
we're in progress of the review. So we went through the history, right? We did a game to do the Agile values and principles. Then we went through Scrum. What is Scrum? It's very simple, very easy, but again, it's complicated because we're in enterprise roles. So then we talked about product planning light. How do we think? How do we get our product owners, our visionaries around this? And we finally went to estimating. One thing I didn't do with the product, now that I'm like thinking about this, your Scrum Master is gonna be doing stuff like this, right? This is a team trust canvas. So how's the team doing? How can the team get better? So they're doing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we did estimating and now we're in review. Do you have any questions on any of this?
I am very clear, and I am going to toy around with what implementation of this looks like.
Okay. So I have one more questionnaire, one more exercise. can share.
Awesome. So I learned structure, flow, and actual application and facilitation. I thought, but now I know, I thought I knew the roles and what they would do, but now I know how they actually break into tasks. And what I want to know more about is estimating an application and how to break them into different MVPs effectively, and how to apply it to service-based customers.
Awesome.
So I learned that I and my teams get to plan at a much more granular level in order to empower them. I thought that Agile and Scrum would be boring. Now I know that it can have a fun team game element to it. I want to know more about product planning.
Okay, perfect. Now what we just did was we did a review. I got questions, so now I can take those and like add it to my product backlog. Hey, you're gonna want to know more about product planning, breaking down. I'll send you guys information and let you guys read through it. But that's really
Incredible.
kind of what it is.
Incredible. Round of applause.
Yay!